Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to paint Misty Pines using watercolors, and it is a very simple painting. You would need only one color to paint this artwork. Now I'll quickly brief you about the art supplies that I am using in this video. So the paper that I am using is Fabriano 300 GSM 100% cotton paper, and the brushes that I'll be using is mop brush. This is by Princeton Neptune, and silver black velvet size 8 and size 2. The size 2 brushes for the detailing work. The color that I'm using is shadow green color. If you don't have this color, you could go with any darker color of your choice. Before we dive into the painting part, I want you all to understand this simple concept of tonal value. Tonal value refers to the degree of lightness or darkness of a color. We can control the tonal values by controlling the concentration of color and water ratio. For darker values, we add very less amount of water, and for the mid-tone values, we add equal amount of water and paint. And for the lighter values, we use more water and less pigment. Tonal values are essential to achieve a sense of depth in the painting. Now, for example, in this painting, you can see different tonal values like darker tones, mid-tones and lighter tones. Lighter tones are used for creating the misty effect in the painting. I hope you are clear with this. Now let us begin our painting by taping down the paper. I'm using masking tape to secure the paper neatly. Here I'm giving about a half-inch border to all the sides. Okay, the paper is secured neatly. Now let us begin by wetting the paper first. I'm using my mop brush to apply water throughout the paper. This will set the stage for wet on wet technique. Let the paper absorb good amount of water so that it retains the moisture. Since I'm using 100% cotton paper, it will remain wet for a longer duration. Next, I'll take the color in mid-tone consistency and apply it around the bottom area. This is wet on wet technique, where we apply wet paints on wet paper. Now I'll apply some vertical lines suggesting the misty trees in the background area. Because our paper is wet at this point, so these lines will result in a blurry distant trees. Next, leaving some empty space, I'll apply some blobs of paint on the upper part. This will suggest the tree line somewhere far from the viewpoint. The background work that we have done now is going to appear much lighter once it dries. So don't worry about achieving perfect results. It is fine. I'm placing a 2-inch masking tape under my clipboard so that there is a slight tilt. This helps the paints to flow in the downward direction. Okay, so that was the background work. We have painted the distant background, the midground area. Now let us paint the foreground elements. So take the darkest tonal value of the color. I have taken the darkest tonal value of the shadow green color and I'll start painting the pine trees. I'll begin from the tip of the tree. My paper is still damp, so I'm able to create these soft looking trees. Use the tip of the brush or a fine liner brush. Using a fine liner brush will give you a nice precision and pointy tips. Here for the trees, I'll be using a mix of diluted, darker and mid-tone colors. This will create a nice variation in the atmosphere, creating a misty vibe. Keep switching between different tonal values. Try to paint the foliage in a very irregular manner. Don't try to create symmetrical foliage. Irregular and zigzaggy tree foliage will make the tree appear organic. I'll also introduce some new trees in the background area. Next, I'll be painting a bigger tree in the front foreground area. First, paint the trunk and then add the foliage. Painting another tree on the side, again with the same technique. Now to create a sense of balance and harmony, I'll also add some smaller trees in the foreground area. At this point, the paper has dried, so we are seeing these hard edges, but it is okay because these are the trees in the foreground, so they appear clear. The mid-ground trees appear slightly blurry because of the misty atmosphere. Can also add some lighter trees in the foreground area depicting the fog wrapped around the tree. Now let us add some birds. Again for the birds, I'm using two different tonal values, darker and diluted tonal value. The birds with lighter color suggest that they are in the misty area. Next, I'll be adding some pine trees using wet on dry technique because the paper has already dried. So I'll add these darker trees in order to enhance the misty trees in the foreground area. The purpose of adding these hard-edged darker trees is to enhance the trees that has the softer effect. I'll add some definition to the blurry tree in the foreground. Next, I'll be adding a bare tree right next to this bigger tree. Once I've painted the main trunk, then I'll add the bare branches. And I'll simply glide my brush, creating a sort of foliage effect on the tree. And lastly, I'll add some tiny lines suggesting the dried tree trunks in the foreground area. Always add some detailing work in the foreground because it is closer to the viewpoint and we can see all the details, right? And splatter some paints in the foreground part. Okay, so we are done with this painting. Now let us remove the masking tape, revealing the final look of the painting. There you go. This is how our painting looks like. I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, bye bye.